Go ahead and call the planning commission regular meeting to order at 6:30. We start with a roll call.
Tanya Harrison,
Here,
Mark Hall,
Here.
Chris Boland is absent, Sarah Tremblay, here, Chris Rainey,
Here.
Gail Foodie is absent, Sean Denadel.
Here.
That makes a quorum.
okay, do we have approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, agenda is approved. Do we have approval of the consent calendar to record the excused absence of Tanya Harrison, Sean Zanetto, and Gail Foodie from the August 12th, 2025 regular meeting?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent calendar.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, consent calendar is approved. Are there any disclosures of conflicts of interest and ex parte communications?
I had that one contact. Others or applicants, but I just sent them to her.
Anything else?
And every time that I will just say, I do work for NBE, so.
Okay, moving on, doesn't look like we have any correspondence. Communications by and petitions from visitors. Do we have any guest speakers tonight?
Well,
No,
comments, not just here.
no guest speakers.
Okay, do we have any audience comments regarding agenda items? Okay. Go forward, you have 3 minutes on the third.
Good evening, I'm Mary Ann Bishop, 700 Fourth Street. I'm here tonight to urge planning and zoning to make a motion to not recommend the lease or purchase of the T-Dock to a private company, in this particular case, Camp 2's Alaska Wild Seafoods. City Council and planning and zoning need to do more planning around the harbor. Alaska Wild Seafoods is in need of their own dock. Around 2 years ago, they announced they wanted to build a dock by their property and dredge a channel to it. At that time, representing Prince William Sound Audubon, I reminded them of council that the mudflats are part of the Western Hemisphere Shorebird Reserve Network that the city is a signatory to, and that was important shorebird habitat. That said, I'm not clear why the dock adjacent to their property and the channel was dropped. With proper planning, such as not dredging close to or during bird migration and disposing of that dredge material in the proper place, it seems like this is still a very viable option. While I realize it may take time for permits, in the meantime, an alternative site that could be used by them would be the dock by the old Prince William Sound Science Center building. Take out the grid there, they could easily load and unload and not be clogging the harbor. In conclusion, I respectfully urge you to take the time to stop and plan for the harbor and to make a motion to not recommend lease purchase of the T-Dock, but instead to investigate alternatives such as a dock adjoining their property with a channel to it, and or to lease or sell the dock next to the science center, the old science center building. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other audience comments regarding agenda items?
Hi, my name is Paula Kane, 1805 Lakeview, and I'm here to comment on the same thing. I would like the planning and zoning board, before they make any decisions on the T-Dock or the privatizing the or industrializing more of the entrance of our harbor, to think about what is their aesthetic vision for the future of Cordova's harbor. These are pictures right from the cover of our own Cordova comprehensive plan, right? They show that one little strip of green space we have around our harbor and how beautiful it is. That's showcased right on the cover of our Cordova comprehensive plan, saying our future direction, right there. And then another picture from the cover, the harbor, the beauty of the harbor. Another picture from the cover, the beauty of the harbor. So I really think we need to work on preserving the beauty of the harbor, especially the harbor entrance area, which includes the harbor. I know that there's an RFP in for the harbor entrance lot, perhaps the T-Dog. I'm not totally sure how that would play out, but before any decisions are made on that, I really think I would like to hear what planning and zoning has for a vision of keeping our harbor beautiful. Because that's why people live here and that's what makes people stay here long term. You know, and a lot of beautiful harbors would have a park on that side like we have in the works. And a park on this side, on that lot, and connect it with the green walkway in the middle. Then you've covered all your bases. People will want to live here, they will want to enjoy the harbor. I think that privatizing and having industry inside the harbor is a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Tyler Dillon, 140 Prince William, Marine Road. I hate talking these mics, sorry everybody, but when the meeting that she's discussing, she threatened to sue Cam two outside of that same meeting if we were to pursue that. And then within a few days, she came down representing the Audubon Society and suggested that we work on a compromise to get the Tidewater development lot. Now she opposes that, of us getting that. So then we put in this other proposal as another option. We just want to get a dock. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. We're not trying to take away Corolla's, whatever. We just want to get a dock. And it seems like everywhere that we try to give Marianne and the Audubon Society are against it, or at least she's representing the Audubon Society, I think. So, yes, we're looking for options. And it seems like every option we go after, she doesn't want us to do, so I don't know what the deal is there, but. If this isn't a good option, we can look into other ones. She's bringing up a fourth one now. I mean, that's not out of the question, but I think we should look into this one. So.
Any other audience comments?
Hello, Colin Bronson. I work for the Native Village of EAC. I'm the project manager for the Shepherd Point Road and Port Complex. And I just wanted to bring up what is in the packet about NVE's desire to enter into agreement of some sort to be negotiated at a future date on a 2-acre parcel near just to the west of Orca Lodge. And that would allow us to improve and make some changes to the road, the beginning of the road, adjust the alignment due to the realities of the ground, the dirt, the rocks, or the lack of rock and too much mud. It would be favorable for us to acquire this 2 acres and move that alignment and that approach for that road into that 2-acre parcel. So just want to make that clear. If there's any questions or as we go through tonight, happy to answer those, and thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Any other audience comments?
Good evening, Kelsey Hayden, 164 Prince William Marina Road. I've worked at Cordova District Fishermen United for 14 years, and I'm just speaking on behalf of myself, but I've watched PM2s consistently raise the ground price of fish year after year. They come out at the beginning of the season with a high price. They are impacting our economy in an incredibly positive way, and they're trying to grow. They are trying to create a space for a dock. They've come up with 3 different options now. I think you've got a few different options to consider in front of you. A letter of interest opens the door for having those conversations that are very important. They need a dock. They want to increase processing capacity. Commercial fishing is the bedrock of our economy, and it is one of the only ways that we can really expand the taxes that we collect. We don't have options to create new revenue streams, but we can increase the ones that we have. I would strongly encourage you to look at whatever option is in the best interest of the community and help them move forward with the dock that makes the most sense. I am all about recreation space, and that helps keep all of us here, but we can't stay here if the property taxes go up so much because our economy is dead. We are struggling with revenue for the city of Cordova. We've all seen the budgets. We need more money. Increasing processing capacity is one way to help those fish tax dollars. helping canneries do that is one of the best ways, so. Thank you.
Any other audience comments? Okay, hearing none. Planners report.
Does anybody have any questions on the report?
Yeah, I was wondering, you said that there's the Environmental Protection Agency review of local canneries, so.
Yep.
Were there any significant findings?
Not to my knowledge, they just had, city staff, go in with them and walk through and tour the facilities, be able to see what's there and kind of get, kind of knowledge of where different, things are stored in the facility, what kind of maybe response would need to happen for, the emergency responders, where chemicals are stored, things like that, so that they kind of had that on their, radar for if they had to respond at the canneries, so. Thank you. Yeah.
Looks like you've been busy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Any other questions from planners? Okay. Moving on, there looks like there's no unfinished business, so we can move on to new business. Starting with letter of interest for the city T-Doc, portion of ATS 220 and a portion of Lot 1, Block 7A Tidewater Development.
Madam Chair. I move to recommend to City Council that City Council dispose of Block A, small boat harbor dock, a portion of ATS 220 and portion a lot of Lot 1, Block 7A Tidewater Development Park, approximately 17,352 square feet in size, as outlined in Cordova Municipal Code 7.40.060B by requesting sealed proposals, negotiating an agreement with the property, with the party who submitted the letter of interest to lease or purchase the property.
Looks like, Commissioner Fooey second. Okay, Commissioner Rainey, would you like to speak to your motion?
Okay, so I have a few thoughts on this proposal. I am generally opposed to disposing of public assets to private hands. I think that this dock is a very important asset to the city of Cordova. To my knowledge, it is where most of the tenders on and offload their tendering equipment. So having it in private hands, I would like some guarantee that it can still serve that purpose. I would also say that contouring the property line specifically to the T-Dock, I do not think that that is that is not how I would want to do it. I would want to bring the property line all the way over to where Ocean Beauty's property is, make it, more of a square. Just because having this be in private hands does make that city land, for all intents and purposes, unusable to the city. There's not really much that the city can put in there. So having the actual size of the property reflects that for both property tax reasons and also for the benefit of CAM2's future proofing their own operations there. I would also want some kind of bond in place to a minimum of upkeep on the facility. I don't want to see a public asset go into private hands and then fall into disuse and ill repair. So yeah, those are my two thoughts on it. I do agree that Cantus does need a space that they can, you know, have direct control of as an offloading station. I don't think that this is necessary to keep as any kind of public green space, or like this is a working harbor. You know, yeah, I don't see the argument for that.
Commissioner Lee?
I am also in support of the businesses like Camden that really roll up their sleeves and turn their business into something that's good for our community in the long term. I also think that this is like for branding purpose stuff, this is pretty fancy property. Then maybe that's, you know, we don't have a lot of fans, we don't have a lot of property to share that will work for them. And for community branding and selling us to the world. If we can do it in such a way that accommodates and to, and also making it like a safe and great place for people to park and have little places to walk and come and go. I think of California's old fisheries, places where they made, you know, like little boardwalks or safe ways for families to be able to participate in the area. I don't know. And yeah, I'm really I love the idea of bond because right now we have a super wonderful family with great legs and capacity, but if something happened to them and they had to sell, or if things moved to like a trust to develop or create or make money with, it could turn into a very different business. So having a bond in place that protects the property or is the that's all that comes to mind.
Other commissioner comments?
I do have a concern. Has this been before the Harbor Commission? Is
No,
this-
it has not yet. Harbor Commission would be tomorrow, but the harbor master is out of town currently, so they're not gonna have it this month. Yes,
So,
so it'll go to the, whatever happens here, it'll go to the next one, Harbor Commission, yeah.
because we're basically the city and not so much the harbor.
Yeah,
We coordinate with the Harbor Commission on what they want done. But we really need, we can go ahead and say yes or no.
but also this is exterior to the harbor, so I don't know.
And that's-
It would be something that we would have to see if the harbor does need to weigh in on before going to city council.
And we could look and see what happened on their previous application last year or the year before for the Southfield, because that was also in Thailand's. I'm not sure what happened there. We did some stuff, and said, all right, we can do it, but we made conditions. But it definitely needs to have the Harbor Commission's approval before it goes to the city council. Or recommendation of approval.
Yeah, I would definitely second that.
They say prior to making a decision tonight, you want.
I think we could go ahead and make a decision. Subject to the Harbor Commission, but the city council is gonna say. Planning says this, Harbor Commission says this, they can make the decision based on what we have, but it should not go to the city council until the harbor commission has had a chance to weigh in on this. That's what. Otherwise, why do we have the harbor commission? It's part of the harbor system. So. That's just my opinion.
Any other commissioner comments?
I just think of other user groups that currently utilize the T-Doc, such as 60 North, like in the event that this does move forward, would the other local seafood processors or user groups, would they be able to have equal access to the Forest Service dock, or would Camp 2s have both of those docks? No?
Any other
I-
comments?
I do have just a couple, so I am. Very much in favor of working with Cantus to. Find somewhere for them to expand. They've come to us time and time again, and every time. They really have put thought into ways to make not only their business better, but how to generate. More revenue, tax revenue for Cordovans, and you know, it was said that a working harbor. That I can't remember exactly what it said, but a working harbor is what keeps people in Cordova, and it helps generate taxes, and that's when I think about a working harbor, that's what comes to mind first is fishing and revenue generating things for the city. Yes, a green space isn't necessarily what comes to my forethought straight away. Tyler said that they maybe would be willing to look again at the South Bill. You know, I don't know, is that something that can be revisited? If this isn't the best idea for the T-Doc. I don't know, is that something that, can I ask that, or? I don't know.
Asking the Dylan. Is that allowed to ask questions during?
You can suspend the rules and take a vote on that, vote to suspend the rules to ask a question. If you'd like.
I mean, it doesn't matter, I mean, I just.
Do you want to make a motion to suspend the rules to ask a question?
Can I make a motion to extend it?
It's not a question that I can answer.
Suspend.
If not, okay. Then we'll just let that go, but they have come time and time again. Asking for, different ways to expand, and. I give them props for that.
I just remind everyone that this is technically an application that they've applied for something now to the city, and so. While all other things can still be explored outside of this, they are asking that you make a decision based on what they put in front of you.
I guess my 2 cents would be, this is currently a public use dock. It's not a vacant lot that currently isn't being used. It is very actively being used by a lot of different users within the community, both private and, or I guess both individuals and businesses. So I guess it does seem a little bit different disposing of vacant property versus removing public access in favor of one business over any others. So I think I would be pretty hesitant to do that, given that it's not like we're gonna be able to build an ocean dock someplace else on city property to replace it. I'm all in support of Chem 2's expanding. I know we've, at least from the planning commission side, have worked with them as best we can. Again, we can only recommend, certain things to them, but, I would be very hesitant. I certainly would need to see a really good explanation of what are we gonna tell everyone else in the community who currently uses this dock. I guess I don't see how having it in private hands would, guarantee continued access by other user groups.
I would say that the city does currently own two ocean docks, so it wouldn't be completely cutting off public access to a similar facility, but I would say that I would want to see a revamp proposal. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can really go forward with the proposal as stated.
Well, remember also, I mean, this is a letter of interest, and because of our convoluted disposal process, applicants are forced to put in vague letters of interest. Because then if the council decides to go out to RFP, they do not want to give away too much of their information for then competitors to use that information to create better proposals than them. So you do have to remember that we have an imperfect disposal system that does, in a sort of a way, require them to put in very vague information to get the process started. And the only way to find out a full true proposal would be for the council to then go out to RFP.
I think what you're saying is really what is before us is, do we see the city T-Dock as something that the city wants to dispose of?
Can I quickly add, which option did you have?
The motion before us right now is the first one, negotiate an agreement with the party. So this would not be going to, if we move forward as it was proposed. It would just be a negotiated agreement.
That would be your recommendation to council.
Well, that's the proposal, that's
Yeah.
the motion that's on the floor right now was stated as option one, yeah.
So we could amend it to just recommend going to RFP. And that would put the public on notice, because I don't know how many people saw this that use the T-Dock right now. And they're gonna be the ones that are actually cut off. There may be another group that said, hey, we'll just get together as 10 or 20 people and create a group, a user group. But
There also used to be a time though that was the Coast Guard dock and there was no city access to that, so that's also. They used other docks,
we got those very moved out.
right, but what did those people do before when they didn't have access to that dock? It was a long time ago, it was.
That was before the Northville. And you had access on the other side of that. Of the road right there, where all the canneries are now, there was access, there's a lot of access over there. We removed all of those access points to fix to the existing canneries. We've got another one in the middle of the harbor that makes it hard to work around them because they've gotten purchase or release there, and we have to work roads and stuff we don't have access through.
Yeah, well, there was the Copper River seafood stock as well, which my understanding is it's basically unusable now for that kind of heavy industrial purposes.
I would say that, yeah, I guess I would. My take on this is as this is a letter of interest, do we? do we feel like the city T-Doc is something the city wants to dispose, or something the planning commission thinks should be disposed of? And then to your motion on the floor is negotiating agreement with the party. Any other?
Madam Chair.
Mhm.
I move to, amend the motion.
I don't think we can.
Can I not? Okay.
But Madam Chair, I move to amend the motion to, request sealed bid proposals to the lease or purchase of the property.
Are you looking for RFPs for bids or proposals?
Proposals,
Okay, so that would be option 4 then.
option 4.
Yeah.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor of the, of changing the motion?
I,
Okay, hearing none opposed, so now the motion is to recommend city council dispose of block 8 small boat harbor dock, by request sealed proposals to lease or purchase the property, which is option 4. Is there any discussion on the amended motion?
I think it would be good for the committee and any other, committee that would be weighing in on this to know what like the fair market value of that piece of property is. What is it currently generating the city in terms of tax revenue? All businesses that use it, I don't know if that information is available, but.
I mean, we could get you, there wouldn't be any tax information because it's publicly owned, so there's no property tax being paid on it.
Hmm.
I mean, and fish tax would come across it, but I don't know if our data is that granular that we can say that across this specific dock that came there through there. But I mean, at a minimum, Tony does administer the use of that dock. And so we would be able to get revenue data from what people pay to use that dock. So, and then obviously it does have a taxable value. And so that's a known number as well. But obviously we don't pay ourselves the property tax on it. So.
Any other commissioner comments?
Is this with the going by the Harbor Commission to there?
Sorry, say that again?
This also will include the Harbor Commission's participation in these decisions.
Technically, the code does not require that this goes to the Harbor Commission because that's it. The land disposal process just requires that it goes from planning commission to or to city council. I would assume that city council would want Harbor Commission's opinion, so I mean, I think it's going to be coming to them one way or another. But if you just go by strictly the code requirements, this could proceed directly to council. Unless the city manager or the mayor decides to hold it from the agenda until Harbor Commission weighs in, so.
So this kicks off the RFP.
No, the council will have to kick off the RFP. It has to go to council, who would then vote to send it out for RFP. Yeah.
I think the only way to send it to the Harbor Commission first would be if we were to refer this back to staff with the direction that we would like Harbor Commission's input first.
Yeah, that's what's been done in the past, is if you don't wanna make a decision. You think it's so crucial that you hear from the Harbor Commission before you make your recommendation, you can refer it to staff. We would hold it till after the next Harbor Commission meeting, bring it back to you after that. And then it would go to council. But again, I mean, if people are comfortable making a decision without the Harbor Commission information and it's not truly going to change your opinion one way or another, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to the applicant to hold it back during that time period. If you do truly need to hear from the Harbor Commission, then please, by all means, refer it back to staff. But
I would leave it up to the city council to say we want to hear from the Harbor Committee. If it gets to them before it gets to the Harbor Commission, they can make that call that they want their input. We would recommend their input, but.
And we've tried as best practice to take it to Harbor Commission before bringing it to you. even though that's not a requirement, just with this meeting being canceled, with the harbor master being out of town, fishing season, there's been, you know, lots of canceled harbor commission meetings and things like that, so there wasn't an intention to skip harbor council or harbor commission. That's just how things lined up for this meeting.
It's just also another opportunity for users that may also be using this T-Dot might be more in tune or paying attention to harbor commission meetings. And the fact that they're all fishing makes sense. Any other commissioner comments? Is commission ready to vote on the motion as amended? Or are there any other changes? Hearing none. Okay, so all those in favor of recommending the city council dispose of block 8 small boat harbor dock portion of ATS 220 and a portion of lot 1 block 7A Tidewater Development Park, approximately 17,352 square feet in size, as outlined in Cordova Municipal Code 7.40.060B, by request sealed proposals to lease or purchase the property, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to, okay, so this one we will handle, with two motions for the letter of interest for a 2-acre portion of ASLS 79263. So currently this property is marked as unavailable on the land disposal map. So when you make your motion, the sample text would be to recommend.
I'll make the motion.
Beautiful.
Madam Chair. I make a recommendation that, ASLS 79-263 be moved from unavailable to available on the land disposal maps. And available requires subdivision. I moved and to dispose of a portion of approximately 2 acres of ASLS 79-263 is outlined in the Cordova Municipal Code 7.40.060B by, in this case, negotiate an agreement with the party who submitted a letter of interest to lease or purchase the property.
1 second.
Okay, we have a motion. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I do have one concern. Is this gonna be a private road?
So this will be the same, as the Shepherd Point Road that they've already acquired, so it is a public access road. I can never remember the exact ownership details, but it's a mixture between the state and NBD having ownership and maintenance responsibilities, but it is a public road.
Public road.
Yes.
My concern is they're gonna put a road up above. Well, that accesses other lands that are cities and native corporations. Are we gonna be able to get an easement from this road that's up there coming back towards town? So we could possibly do a subdivision up there.
Yeah, so that is actually the fact that we're gonna be able to access that hillside is one of the reasons that staff supports this proposal. And like I said, this will be no different than the Copper River Highway easement, you know, it's a public road. We still would have to apply for a driveway connection permit or intersection permit or whatever they would call it in our case, whether it's a driveway or a road that's being connected in. But this is going to, I can't guarantee going to give us, you know, immediate great access, but we are going to be able to access the property that we wouldn't be able to, as you've all been out there and seen, you know, there's quite the elevation difference between New England Cannery Road and where that land's at, so. Yes, it would be a public road and we would just have to go through any other normal process where you have to apply for a permit to connect to a state right away.
Other than that, I see it as a bonus if you don't get a ugly steep road. It's close to existing structures out there. Was it bad?
Commissioner Tremblay, would you like to speak to your second?
That was my question as well. I just was wondering about the access. No.
Any other commissioner comments?
Okay, I would like to speak to this easement making city land available to the public. If we turn to the towards the end of the packet, there's the topographic maps of the city land. The area that they are applying for basically perfectly contours with what I would categorize as basically the only buildable land on that whole hillside. Certainly without a pretty substantial road access in our own right. Getting over, like a half mile to some more relatively flat land. So I'm not sure if that's really a valid argument in favor of this sale.
This is the only one.
Yeah, because the place that. Yeah, the place that the road is. If I'm. I drive past that basically every day. Where the stake is, or where I believe they want the road to come out, is basically right at the end of that flat line there.
Well. Just looking at the purple. It's this, basically this hatched area down below the road is what you're talking about,
Yeah,
or
so,
we're actually talking about.
so if you.
They already have this here.
Yeah. So if you see where the road kind of curves out, towards the water before making the turnaround. It's basically right at the start of that turn, where there's that pretty large, flat area up on top of the cliff. I'm pretty sure that is where they want the road to be, so, yeah, it basically just eats up all of the easily buildable land.
So you're saying, you think that the road, where the road.
The new
The
road,
new road would join the existing road is right on the edge of that flat spot, which is where.
Yeah, so
get up.
they'd be, my impression anyways, that, they'd be blasting off all of that flat lands that would theoretically be buildable. So, yeah, I don't see that as a valid argument for. Cause. I don't think that, certainly not in the near term, the city is gonna have any ability to make any of that land buildable.
So they're not blasting through that section, they're bringing the road up to that elevation. Right now, their current plan is to literally blast through it and you'd have a canyon like when you drive between the shoreside tanks and the CEC property.
Yeah, but that's where the road is gonna be.
I know, but I just would point out that it's a lot easier to get on this hillside starting at 100 feet elevation versus at 0 feet elevation. So I mean, if we can get a road that gets us at least up onto this step, and yeah, we can't use this step. I think it still creates a lot more accessibility to that hillside versus having to start at sea level.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, but this still is really steep. Like, this is all really steep land around that, so I don't really think that it will be immediately, or even like in the long term, like a really beautiful, like it's not gonna be an easily buildable space.
I think, also easily buildable is not something that everybody wants. You know, there's a lot of people that are built on the cliff sides and hillsides and stuff in Cordova, so having a way to get to the location to then carve out your little section in the future could be beneficial.
I mean, possibly, but I don't think that it is a significant increase in accessibility. So I'm just not seeing that as a particularly valid argument for the sale. Like, I'm not saying that we necessarily shouldn't go through with the sale. But yeah. I will looking at the plat map of the proposed new easement, I will ask. Like, will it be significantly shallower? Will it be a significantly shallower angle of attack compared to the old easement? Because, you know, it's only a couple hundred feet down the road. The rock. Like, I don't see, like, just looking at the cliffside, the rock doesn't look significantly different. I'm not sure how moving it down the road a little bit is going to make it that much better of an approach. Like, they say that, you know, they've done new geotechnical stuff and it looks a lot better, but I thought they did geotechnical stuff on the old road easement. So I'm kind of worried that they're just going to go and blast all this out and all of a sudden they can't build it there either, so it's just gonna make a very big giant mess. Yeah. I don't wanna be the only one talking.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, well. Hearing none,
Can we ask questions about, possible,
we can discuss amongst ourselves if you have questions for, right. The public, then we would need to suspend the,
You may be able to get your questions answered
but
from
the planner may have it.
the planner or the public works officer.
can we talk to them about changing it to improve, our access to some of our unacceptable land? We could give them more property at a better price.
I don't understand, like that elsewhere, you mean, like other land?
Well, don't we own more other land around there? Could we, I mean, could we extend the, range that we offer? And then change the trajectory of the road, it would make it a little more expensive for them, but it would also make it more.
Well, so I guess just to add some more context to all of this, it wasn't included in the letter of interest or the memo, but so. Background on this, so the road has to cross our water transmission main that comes down from Orca. And so as part of the project, they're replacing a section of that main. That is going to be affected by the project. There's the section that the road's gonna go through that they'll be replacing. There's still a few hundred feet above that, that's old condition pipe that's outside of their responsibility area. As we've been going through, we're having concerns about this new pipe tying into this old pipe and causing additional problems, and so. One of the things that NVE had mentioned proposing as part of the consideration for the sale of this land would also be assisting us with replacing that upper section as well. And so kind of in a way, we would, staff's thoughts were by the sale of this land, it would give us additional access to land that we don't have now. While it might not be perfect access, it's still in our eyes better than having to start from down at the bottom. And then additionally, we would get additional length of that transmission line replaced. And so that was kind of, at least staff's thought was, it was a win for all of the community to give up a little bit more land, get access to our property and get additional transmission line upgraded. So not that that's tied to this, but that was just part of the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my understanding from the letter of interest is they are saying that it will provide access to remaining land, but they're not actually saying they're gonna provide that access. It's just making that suggestion, but not actually building the road to do it.
Quick question. There's water out there, public water, so you don't need wells. Does the city sewer go out that far?
It does not.
The city sewer stops, at the science center.
In that case, we don't have it in our code, but you're looking at 4 lots, is what they're talking about, for the whole thing. Because you need at least a half acre for a septic, just a septic. You need basically an acre for a septic, an alternate septic and a well. So we're not looking at, because there's gonna have to be septic systems of some sort out there. We're not talking a lot of land. This is actually a small area. You're gonna need a big area, and because of the slope, it's not even gonna be real practical anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
the slope is too much for a septic.
Yeah,
yeah, I think if anyone were to build anywhere along that whole stretch, you wouldn't be able to have a traditional septic system. You'd have to have some alternative.
right. But they can be built and they're just expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't see any place more practical. I have a willingness to accept an engineer's recommendation. Hey, this is what we came up with, but now that we're out here and we're seeing it a lot, this would be a better idea. The expense just to go through putting this together is quite a bit. They wouldn't do it if they didn't really think it was a better idea.
I would have liked to hear from the actual engineer on what the rationale was.
And in reality, it still remains, for the most part, in public ownership. It's just limited use. I don't know if there's how that cost is actually going to be fed.
Okay. Any further discussion before we vote on this motion before us? And this is the motion to negotiate an agreement with the party who submitted the letter. of interest.
And so when you made the first portion of that motion, to move from unavailable to available, was it available or available requires subdivision? Is that what you were?
With subdivision.
Okay.
Okay, so all those in favor of recommending ASLS 79236 to be moved from unavailable to available requires subdivision on the land disposal maps and to dispose of a portion of approximately 2 acres as outlined in the Cordova Municipal Code 7.40.060B by negotiated agreement with the party who submitted a letter of interest to lease or purchase the property, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay. Okay, last item is the land disposal map review regarding Rural Caps Mutual Self-Help Housing Program. Okay. And the motion here, the way it's written is, we're gonna be revisiting this multiple times over many meetings. And so staff requested that we use this language to keep it consistent from meeting to meeting. Obviously, as this is the first time we've gone over this together as a group, it'll be more of a discussion. And we are really looking at what is our criteria for evaluating lots for development. And we can always make a motion to refer back to staff to continue this discussion. Any questions?
I'd like to have the discussion first because we need to insert,
I know, but
but
that's why I'm saying, even if you make a motion for a lot, we're gonna be discussing all of them. This was what,
yeah. I move to recommend the city council review the following city property identified as a bunch of green lots.
You can just leave that portion blank, just skip over that portion, cause it doesn't identify anything currently. And then you can skip on that, and then you can amend your motion to refer back
By
to
the
staff.
planning commission for possible land disposal to rural cap self-help housing program. So,
I moved to second, but I would also add all the orange colored ones.
oh,
Yeah.
Yes, not
Yeah.
the green.
next. Okay. Would you like to speak to your motion?
the biggest problem I see is most of the land in Cordova is, it's non-developable that the city owns, like this road that's going through. It's gonna take big bucks to build that road. And these are not low income, but basically low income houses that we're proposing, so they're not gonna have a huge budget. They can swallow major development for the ground. So we're really limited to what's available or what we can con somebody into building for us for nothing. So that's just a start point.
Commissioner Goodale, would you like to speak to your second?
I mean, yeah, there's definite housing need in the community. And I just feel like whatever programs that we can access, we should try to access.
I guess I'll quickly jump in and just say one vision that I had for structuring this portion of the meeting is similar to how we go through the land disposal maps, is we can just go through page by page. What are the lots that are available? Is this is just cliff land completely unreasonable, or is there something, we're really looking for, what are the criteria? What are we looking for when we envision where to put these houses? So we do need, we're aiming for 6 to 12 homes. We have to look at the zoning, make sure that we can fit that many homes on whatever parcel of property it is. And whether or not those are gonna need septic, which is so need more space, things like that. I think that that's really the way to try to target this discussion so that we can get something concrete out of it. Any other commissioner comments?
I just wanna point out that, the topography on here is 5-meter contours, and also you can zoom in a lot more on my ArcGIS. So if you wanna see them in higher resolution, closer, then I can do that. I can put those into the. If this gets referred back to staff, I can put those identified areas, in their closer up format in the packet. So that everyone can see, because obviously, right, you know, all these things look like cliff sides, but when you're looking at it in with 180 acres or more all in one picture, it looks like just straight up cliffs, and in reality, there could be really nice benches in those, so if there's land that you wanna see closer, then we can definitely do that.
That's a good point, there's no scale. Action on here, cause I know just looking at the map that includes my lot, you know, those contour lines don't look very far apart at all, but I know that my hillside is really steep. So it's right, so the contour lines may be helpful, but we may need to just, yeah, and also make sure that, you know, the scale of, say, this picture is different than the scale of this, so, okay. Are there any other comments, or should we start with from the beginning? Okay. So New England Cannery Road, there's 2 large lots that require subdivision, and we kind of discussed this already in the earlier. And it is very steep.
It's very steep, and that could be a future one. If I remember right, they're looking for having something available and to be shovel ready in 2 years. If they can find money. And applicants.
And you're looking for approximately an acre of land. Because if you just assume the zoning is gonna require a 4,000 square foot lot, and you need up to 12 lots, you know, you're looking at anywhere between a half to a full acre.
Guess it's also not on these maps saying how, I guess, because I guess there's a scale on these ones, but not the contour line maps. But yes, that is an acre of reasonably buildable land.
Yeah, do we wanna just go around the circle?
Mhm.
Okay, as far as New England Cannery Road, I think I adequately expressed my opinion of the north side of that. If I could get a reminder, why was the city quarry burn pile labeled as not available instead of available requires subdivision?
There's been times where we've considered using that as a new location for, replacing the Moorpack water tank. We are finishing up the water master plan. That location is no longer the primary location we're looking at, so I mean, I think it could be looked at being changed its status. Also, I mean, it doesn't mean the whole property needs to be unavailable, but obviously, you know, the burn piles there, our rock pits there. So I mean, there is areas of it that we wouldn't want to get rid of, so in the future, we could look at maybe reconsidering it as available require subdivision. But yeah, that's kind of the background is, water tank location and then also just the quarries portion. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a
cause
quarry that when we kicked it, because there was an application for that. And we sent it up to the city council, they said, that's the rock quarry, we're not gonna sell our existing rock quarry at this time. That was the main reason for that one, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
cause at least the upper portions of that rock quarry, I don't think that they've really been utilized. For a long time at this point, but there is existing kind of rough roads going up there, so. It would be a very expensive place to build, because those roads are not really civilian ready in any meaningful way, But if we're looking at, you know, kind of high green spaces, that might be one.
I have a question about the burn pile and I'm talking to my, oh, sorry. A question about the room, whether it's like a hazardous place.
I mean,
Shouldn't be, but.
technically, nothing should be burnt there that isn't wood or brush or other untreated wood products. I cannot guarantee anything beyond that.
Yeah. Imagine seeing kids.
Okay, so potential, I think, so the lots that are listed as available are functionally too steep.
In my opinion,
Access.
For access,
yeah, cause there's.
yeah. Given the
There's,
scope of this project.
Yeah, there's one section that I myself have actually looked at in the past, that kind of steep turn right at the end of New England Cannery Road, where the signs are that tell you that this is a steep turn kind of area. Up on top of that cliff, there's a little bit of flat land. I don't think enough for, you know, between 6 and 10 lots. I think maybe room for one. But it's just, yeah, I've looked at that one long and hard. It's just, it would be a very stupid place to build a house.
I think we move on from New England Cannery Road.
Yep. Okay, so we've got the Ocean Dock subdivision. What's that?
And that orange area is, once again, abutting the road, but it's really steep to get to any usable. And the road costs. Somebody is gonna have to build a road first on this one. And I don't think it's worth. For the cost of what the houses are. That they're talking about, you're not gonna have enough money to build. Just put in the road, let alone build the house.
Decline, decline has.
Right, okay, I would concur. Okay, Northville Development Park. The only thing is, everything is either leased or not available. That one, Tidewater Development Park and Cordova Industrial Park. I think there's a.
I think these would all be really hard to develop above, First, across River Highway.
Yeah, I think those really are better looked at on the next page of Old Town, because then you can see where the road is supposed to go. To access those. Coming, you know, from Davis. Coming up and turning basically. And then moving forward, those, the second row of that, probably more buildable than that front row, but still the access would be very challenging. However, if you had a road put in, possibly one of our only blocks of platted lots that could be developed, where you have them all together.
Right, so I see that we have these ones that are green that show that like they're available, and then there's all these platted lots. Who are the landowners of those lots? Is that Forest Service land or like why are they
It's all-
platted?
it's all
privately held.
It's all private.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of it's held by one large group.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's all technically
Okay.
privately held. I mean, I would still consider discussing further those lots along Main Street and even that second row. Because I mean, I know, you know, Tanya, you know, the joys of building on a hillside, but I mean, you've done it. Lyndon's daughter, you know, they did it over on Ski Hill.
Van just did it.
Van
on
just did
Davis.
it. I mean, he had a little bit of a road access
Hmm.
driveway,
Yeah.
but. I mean, you know, these lots could be quote unquote walk-up lots, you know, there's parking on the highway down below. You put in staircases, it's for a specific type of families that wanna live like that, you know, but. are we ever going to get big, huge houses? And is that really what we want right there, the first thing when you're coming into town? Or does it make more sense to have these smaller houses that kind of just dot that hillside right there?
Could also be a first and second phase of this program right there. You know, that's enough lots. If we were to take the road in from Second Street up into the available lots we have there. And then bring this road and it's one roadway up for all lots.
So yes, these are definitely like the best in town platted lots, and I agree that they, makes a lot of sense for that. I have, as I looked into finding them at one point myself, I've spent a bunch of time up there. I think you would, even though there are individuals in town, myself, that have built on really steep hillsides where there is no road access to the build site. I'm not sure that that would be feasible for the scale of the project, like.
Yeah.
Carrying everything up on your back can only go so far when you've got that many houses to build. I think my understanding is what they're looking for is. You're talking about building these houses within the span of a year.
Yeah.
I think you need heavy equipment to do that. So, you know, could we put in enough of a road to get an excavator up there? Get the build done, and maybe the long-term access for these homes is from stairways and stuff. Totally open to that if they're interested in it. I think that that's likely some of our best bet. But then there's also the issue of utilities.
Yeah, perfect.
Utilities and parking are the,
Well, I think also don't. If you're taking the cost and dividing the cost of a road between all of these landholders to put in one road. Would be a lot more feasible than to make a road to each little lot. They would all have road access through here if you could do that.
and there are a lot, like there's a lots up here. This could put, because like you said, potentially could be a multi-phase section of this, where you could end up having. How many are there? Yeah, I mean, if these are each individual, if each of these lots could have a home on it, you could have, 20 families up there and do this twice. Which would certainly, hopefully, help the cost of. Putting in a road.
You could also take a re-subdivision of that whole little area into building a road that comes off of Main Street and take it up there.
I think part of what we were discussing about what criteria are we looking at is, you know, do we. Yes, we've identified these lots because they are already platted, they're in a good location, but it may require some replatting.
Right.
In order to make a road easement available to access them.
And so speaking of replatting and like vacating right of ways, I just also point out the orange ones that we discussed when we changed them to available over on Ski Hill Road. I mean, that's another potential site to look at. You can drive up Davis Avenue. That wouldn't be hard to, you know, create that road because it's pretty much stubbed all the way up to that area. You vacate those right of ways. You subdivide that into a bunch of small lots. I know there's the creek that runs through there, but that can be built around, or, you know, it can be managed in different ways. So, you know, I think taking a good look at that area as well. Which could then also potentially lead to more development, because if you keep getting that Davis Avenue farther and farther up. You know, now that's getting it closer to all these other privately held lots, and then, you know, creates development potential for those as well.
What does, the yellow, what do those lots look like? Are they pretty,
There's a hollow. And there's a creek running down the south side of it. You can put a culvert across that creek and get a lot or two on the other side. With a little stub road. I've looked at it. I walk by it all the time.
Yeah,
But on the other side, it's reasonable. It's It's actually the easiest construction I can see.
Cause you could tuck them right up against the hillside that creates Ski Hill Road, and then also, I mean, because they're within the same area, I think it would be close enough that if you needed to get some more lots for the project. You know, you also include re-subdivision of those orange lots that are actually up on Ski Hill, because near where the Earth Station, CPC's Earth Station is, you can see how we have lots there that are just above the number 2. We could vacate the right of way adjacent to that, replat that, you could get, 2 small lots there, so now you've got potentially, 5 or 6 down below, another 2 up above, they're all still close enough that this project can easily work between the upper portion and the lower portion, however you want to define it, so. I think that has a lot of potential in that area. Water and sewer come up Davis also, I believe that they're actually just service lines though, so we would need to look into. How that infrastructure would be handled and having it upgraded to actual mains that go up there. There might be the ability to bring water down from Cabin Road, from Ski Hill. That might be easier for the water side, obviously the sewer needs to flow downhill. So I think that might be the potentially biggest issue is just. Cause the main, I believe, is down at the 4th Street intersection, and then we've allowed. For just service lines to come down that upper portion, so, but again, that's all. Finer details than we need to worry about, I think, at this point right now.
Having water even close is better than we've got on most of these properties, so they win.
I like those. I like those lots.
I have a question. Yeah. The, Observation Avenue and those lots up there. Do they have water?
Water is in the main. On the highway,
Yeah,
But it's a cliff
Yeah,
getting up there.
yeah.
So that would be I'm assuming. If a road was made to access those lots from 2nd Street, that's where it would tie in to the water sewer from there, I would assume.
seems like I saw a water line up there, but it was. 1940 stuff. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, so 2 potential sites in on the Old Town map. Both requiring potential re-subdividing and road extension, but not out of the realm of possibility. Southfield Development Park. This is probably the one
It's not zoned right.
lot, but it's not zoned right, I don't think we really want. Folks living there, but folks wouldn't want to live there.
It's not zoned.
I don't think there's anything in Odiak Slough. Anyone sees anything that I missed, just holler. Let's see. The White Shed Road. There are those couple lots that are listed as available.
You can see them better on Kodiak Park, looks good.
So, okay, good. Guessing these are not big enough.
so. Oh, you're talking about the ones on Center Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if those ones would be great for this project, You have a lot of restrictions with how you're gonna access it, there's the stream there that has a buffer. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it has potential, we could measure it and see what the potential usable area is. So, I mean, I think that could maybe take have a second look at it. But my initial thought is it's probably not the best spot, just due to size and other constraints, but we can find out. I don't know what the size of those lots are, but I'm just looking at the ones around it.
I think the smaller ones definitely don't look like they could handle that, and even the bigger ones, maybe a very small version of that project, but.
During the rural cap meeting, they did say that on the East Coast, they've had a zero lot line. Talks, so I mean, if we wanna identify something and then they can decide how to use it. That's what we could definitely put those in there, if that's something you'd like.
I guess maybe these two that are actually adjacent.
Oh, sorry, yeah, those were the ones I was talking about, the ones that are on Copper River Highway. Yeah, sorry, those were the ones I was talking about when I made my comments.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, the other ones look quite small, but even those ones, I mean, if you join them together, might still not be big enough, is what you're saying.
yeah, I don't know the exact dimensions, cause like I said, there's a stream that runs through there, that whole front side on the Center Drive side is marshy and where we dump
Right.
snow and.
Yeah, this is only, yeah, these lots are probably tiny, if this scale is correct.
Something that another suggestion for you to look at, is that corner lot. The hill itself is pretty steep,
Which
the
corner?
one that's, sorry, the one that's on the corner of the highway that wraps around by Powder House.
If you go back to White Shed Road, you can see it a little bit better now.
Oh, this one, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe it might be worth looking at, is it worth that whole just front strip being turned into houses that actually is directly against the right of way? You know, cause there is a good little bit of flat space that moves in before that then goes up into a hill. I think we would need to be very careful about allowing a development like that, though, to make sure that we don't block our future access up that hill. So however it's platted, we would need to make sure that we retain, you know, either right of ways or access easements to get behind those properties if they do line the roadway. So I don't think it's a necessarily bad idea if they couldn't just be tucked right up against the toe of that hill. I would just suggest that we make sure that we don't then lose potential future access further up on that property. So, again, I'm just throwing things out that I've been rattling around in my head as I drive around and do my job.
How far does the septic go out the highway?
Sewer goes out to Roundhouse.
Nope.
On the highway.
Yeah, I was talking to Joel about that today. He said that it goes out to. Make my check really quick.
Sorry, did I go on? Sorry.
Yeah, just one.
Okay, sorry, then,
It's right.
everything mixed up. The sewer basically goes just past, where the, intersection for
It's where the water.
Highland, or, yeah, where the water tank is.
Okay, yep,
So. Across from the Adventure
right.
place, last big wilderness. Yeah, so I was,
So advantage of this would be, you would not get very many properties, but you would be able to, at least there would be utilities relatively easy if it's right on the road.
on this corner,
Yeah,
yeah, there's both water and sewer directly adjacent to that property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I was thinking this is.
and I guess we would, to look at this more seriously, would be to figure out exactly how far back is that buildable line between the road easement and
Yeah.
the cliff, is it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, without
Okay.
doing a survey, it's pretty much impossible to tell.
Right.
So, yeah.
But also we can identify it and then let them decide if-
Right.
if they even like it. Here's 6 options.
Yeah.
You tell us if you even like any of them.
Mhm.
Seems like it's a big enough area.
Yeah,
Right, it's just what is accessible. You know, it might just be a little sliver and then the cliffs, I mean, that's kind of what this other big lot,
it's getting up here,
yeah.
but you can get up into this whole area.
Well, I think that, what Kevin was saying, but not even trying, just go on the very edge of this. And not try to get up on the better, flatter terrain above it. but just build along the edge of the road.
Basically,
Yeah,
If we're looking at suggesting places that are gonna be low development cost, you know, if you don't, they don't have to build a road, they might have to build a little frontage road in front of them, cause I'm sure the state's not gonna let you have 10 driveways on a curve. You
that's
know,
also, yeah. cars and stuff.
so there's gonna have, I'd assume there'd have to be some sort of little frontage road that they would all go on, and then they'd have one access out, but again, I mean. These are all details that need to be
Yeah.
figured out if that's something that they want to pursue. But yeah, my thought was kind of just, if we want low development costs, you just tuck them right there. And that's why I was saying it's important to ensure that we retain some way to have access to get behind them so that we do have access up the hill in the future.
Yeah, potentially like, yeah, just keeping that corner. Undeveloped, so where we can slide up there.
Figure out where you're gonna put the road
Yeah,
and plat an easement for the road.
yes,
Through the lots.
so that would take a lot of surveying work, but possibly would be. And I think that other, yellow. Lot on that map, is. Probably too steep. I don't think that.
Yeah, corporation said blasting and the building the hospital there was too expensive.
Right, so,
NBE,
yeah. Yeah, so if NBE says it's too expensive, then
millions,
probably,
like, I think 70
Yeah, I was gonna
million.
say 70 million,
Yeah.
what I heard.
yeah. Okay, Powder Creek Road.
And nobody wants to live out there.
I was, looking at, we discussed previously, making the road. Going into the cemetery more of an actual easement, and then, the area behind the cemetery might be buildable. That would again be a more, substantial development.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's gotta start somewhere, I mean, like you were saying, there's already a little bit of a road built there, and then even if these houses are just those first ones on the other side. Then that could lead to future development to someone that wants to put in more substantial stuff up the hill.
Yeah, I was just doing some real back of the envelope, calculation, I think that if we were just to go up to where, like. Where this other development has been done, closer in towards town, you could probably fit, 14 lots in there relatively straightforwardly.
is there utilities right below there?
Yeah, the water and sewer basically in just roughly where the cemetery is, so they would just need to be brought up into the property.
The sewer, yeah, the sewer ends right there and then the water goes,
To Vivian,
no, so.
or yeah, sorry, yeah, it goes all the way,
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of sunny side.
Yep,
I do like that area,
Behind the cemetery.
yeah.
Protected.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, you know, it. Could be seen as very controversial to put a road through there, but I don't think we're talking about a major road, and I think there's actually a good way to do it that respects and preserves the cemetery long term, you know, you put in a nice, like either stone fenceway or something on each side, so then that keeps cars on the roadway, and it also just beautifies the location, so. I think there's ways to do it in a respectful way, but I also understand that it is going to be. A controversial suggestion, if that's something that you have determined that you wanna suggest.
And there
We can suggest everything.
could be some costs in making sure there aren't unmarked.
I was
graves
gonna
up
say,
there.
I would
Yeah.
assume there's gonna be a lot of requirements to make sure that, yeah, we're not disturbing things, we're, you know, so I mean, there could be a ton of additional costs. That are way outside of, you know, just regular infrastructure costs, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I do think that the only way that we are going to get any development, above the cemetery is with. More. Multi-home, development plan, so, yeah, something like this.
Tanya, do you have room for neighbors?
Welcome to, but it's really steep. You know, I mean, like I say, just the. Building a house by yourself, carrying it up is one thing, I'm just not sure that that's reasonable to try to do. 6 to 10 lots like that.
The stretch beyond just dawned on me, DNR was here 2 years ago or last year. They looked at the stretch out here
Mhm.
along the trail, goes up. And they were thinking of doing lots along there.
This, at the very end, it's got a flat spot. You know, you can kind of see on the contour line that this bit, but it's just so small.
Well, I'm talking out here.
Oh, past.
Right, this is DNR's land out here.
Mhm.
They may be willing to do something with us.
So I mean, we've been having talks with them since they came to look at that. There's still nothing official. The group that's been looking at it, they're still working it up the chain through DNR, so.
It takes years.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, you know, it's, yeah, if that happened, that's still years out. We'll be hopefully giving you an update about that sometime next year because they are still trying to move it along and trying to do another field visit on that soon, but. Yeah, I mean, for the purposes of this program, I think, you know, first of all, they would need to go through the state anyway. But it's definitely something that the city, you know, is going to be supporting, is opening up more land for housing, so. Yeah.
Yeah, the little flat spot at the very end is a great lot. I'm not sure it's big enough for them. We can.
Yeah.
You know, you could do a development there. It's close to Skater's Cabin. I think Fire Creek Road's a great location. But if they deem that big enough would be the only issue.
Because you said there is no sewer out there.
There's no sewer
So
out
then
there.
that would be,
So even if you were to build like a townhouse or something, you still have to put in a septic size
Yeah.
based on the household size.
Right.
That you're putting in, so, and septics need flat spots.
Yeah.
So. Cause behind it is hillside as well, so it's really just that toe end corner. Nice spot for, you know, that, just looking at like the existing platted lots. It's sort of, you know, you might get 1.5 of what those other houses have, like my house and my neighbor lot sizes on that spot. And I kind of use both mine between house and septic.
I like the property of Seal.
I do too.
Yeah,
Personally,
Yeah.
I do because I see it.
Yeah, it just seems like it's the
And I won't see it.
easiest to access, except the
Yeah.
utilities right there.
Yeah.
okay, so Power Creek Road possibility is possible in the cemetery. Possible at the very end, potential if we go further up the road. But some logistical issues there. Yak Lake. We talked about the corner lot, so these. Trapezoidal ones. And the little round ones. So this is. Okay, this is by Alpine Falls, so this is also fairly steep. Maybe, yeah.
Who, did the Alpine Falls Circle development?
Argo.
Oh,
Cause I mean, there is. Could possibly, extend that easement. And that would be an easier access.
Actually, he didn't do it through,
Yeah, he didn't do it through easement, so that would require
Mhm.
talking
and we intentionally did that.
for that, this, so he would not be interested.
Actually, he did, because he did pick up, or he was working with the university for a while. To the east. And he was gonna add to it to the east, and so this does have a way to attach into there.
So I don't know how many lots you could get, I haven't measured this out, but if you look at where the water tank is,
Mhm.
below the water tank. There's flat sides on each side of the access road.
Yeah.
And that is kind of why we talked about, because originally these were not available. And we changed them to available required subdivision because of these flat areas that, you know, you have this access road for the water tank that could be improved to a better standard.
It does.
And, you know, I don't know how many lots you can get there, but if you look at, you know, the size of the lots that are in the adjacent development, to the west. I mean, you could,
Right.
again, between the two sides, you could maybe get 5, 6 lots.
And-
Of small size, but these are also small houses would be going in, so.
And you've got, I mean, the water tank road is a currently service road, but it could be developed to.
It could be upgraded.
It could be upgraded and you would have water and sewer out to there.
Maybe if you had a road going, so from the water easement road, then have a offshoot road going east, you might be able to fit more in there, cause you'd be able to access
Just
farther.
gotta get across that creek.
Is that like pretty close to the avalanche? Debris field?
No,
Further out.
And then, yeah, I mean, then similar access issue, you know, on the east side of the creek, there is that good flat spot that's just right there off the road, but you do have the, getting up to it. It's a lot more accessible than the cliffs on, New England Cannery Road, but it's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, go up a little bit of a.
But there is some good flat spots in there as well. But I mean, the most accessible ones with still a little work would be utilizing the existing water tank road. And, we would just move the gate farther up the hill as part of the development, we'd maybe just ask that they, create a little flat spot for us to park. If we need to park at the bottom of the gate during the snow season and stuff like that, but again, I think it's all manageable, so.
Yeah, that could be a good option for a smaller development to start with. See how this goes.
Maybe between these two being close enough.
Yep, that's also possible if you could put a couple, cause they did say they don't have to be adjacent. As long as they're near, so if you could put a couple on that, on the corner lot. Put a couple houses there and a couple houses on the water tower, the water tank lot.
Cause that's what, like a half mile distance?
That's a short distance,
Yeah.
on a real highway. They might be able to manage that. As opposed to, halfway across town or
Yeah.
something, and that might make it. It might manage to get enough houses built to satisfy their requirements and work with our limited land. Availability. So possible tie these comes in together. Okay. Okay, 5 Mile Loop, I mean, I think we all are. No one's up for building in the avalanche zone. We can skip, oh, that's the last one.
Well, summertime. I grew up back there. We moved to town like in March.
Yeah, I don't think they're not in the, I
Yeah.
think the grant is for people who live like year-round residents. They
You
don't-
can't sell those lots, we're not allowed to sell those lots, you can't build permanent structures on those lots.
So you can't put septic on the lot.
Yeah.
either. It is, yeah, there's FEMA rules to those lots and nothing can be built there.
Like Chris. With his place. The recreational site.
Yeah, it's a good place to have people come for summer.
So. To wrap up this land disposal map review, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering, how many sites did that end up being?
Go back to it.
8 lots. 8 sections of lots that you identified tonight.
Thank you.
That gives us a starting area. And I believe that's what we were supposed to just recommend, hey, look at these to the city council.
And then also figuring out what is our criteria for recommending that for development, and I think. Commissioners have input on that criteria. Of. I guess most of what I heard was, lot size and not necessarily road access, but at least some kind of a road nearby that the road access wouldn't be egregious.
Proximity to existing utilities.
And proximity of existing utilities. There were a number of lots that would require, replatting. Like those Skiva lots and we would probably need to do some adjustment to put in a road to the observation field lots. And I think the only one we discussed rezoning was the burn pile.
Not rezoning, but redesignating.
Well,
Redesignate.
redesignate, yeah. Making available for unavailable. Let's see. But all the other lots that we looked at were still in the zone for what we're looking for, the residential.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even, well, I guess the burn pile is actually waterfront industrial district, so even if that was made available, it's not zoned for housing, so that would require a rezone.
Okay.
I do just wanna say though that if you weren't here for the rural cap discussion, I really encourage you to go listen to the YouTube. They have a lot of good things to say and it might make a little more sense to those that are listening that don't know what we're talking about, to go and start there and then get a little back history.
There's also an easy link in the planning commission packet to it, just so that people know if they go to the planning commission packet, they're watching this on YouTube. They can go to there and find that link easily to the rural cap meeting.
It's a work session with the city council and planning and zoning.
It's a lot shorter than this meeting.
Yeah, sure.
We're getting close, okay, so with this, I believe, we made a motion in order to have this discussion, so I think we need to refer it back to staff in order to move on. So I think we need a motion to do that.
Make a motion, to refer this back to staff to put together a good document to send to the city council.
Do you need to make a motion to amend?
I don't think we just recommended.
I think, yeah, in our discussion of the motion, we've decided that we're recommending to refer back to staff. Hopefully that applies.
Do we need a second on that?
All,
Either that or no objections.
are there any objections?
No objection.
Do we need to vote on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hearing, any opposed? Hearing none, okay, it will refer back to staff. Thank you all. Okay, and are there any audience comments? Yep.
Stuck around, it's no meeting.
Well, first of all, I was fascinated listening to the rural cap stuff. I think it's very exciting, because I realize there is a need for housing. But I also just wanted to reiterate once again that I really think that Camp 2 Alaska Wild Seafood should still explore building their own dock over there on the South Fill. I'm sorry, but I don't take the blame for them not pursuing that. I made public comments 2 years ago at a meeting. I don't think there was even a vote there. And so, you know, I'm not the boogeyman in all this. I want to make that clear for the record. And I think that would be great. And I think it could be done in a good way. And there's, you know, obviously you have to go through the core and permits and stuff, but I share Tanya's concerns that the T-Dock is the, I mean, worked at the Science Center, I was in that building for 20 years, and that dock is used by a lot of public users. And I would think it's a very dangerous move to privatize that, so. I once again urge to look at that South Field for a dock there. Thank you.
Thank you. Other audience comments?
I just wanted to talk about this. Hello, my name is Tutran Dillon of 140 Prince William Marina Road. We would like to thank the city, the planning commission, and the community members for your time and those who have been support of our local family-owned business. Our family, our fishermen, and our industry members have worked so incredibly hard. So as you all know, it has been a very difficult and long journey for us regarding an off-road dock. We have had multiple ideas within the town, however, each idea that we have had comes with quite a bit of strong opposition. And that it requires us to move cautiously and explore other options, attempting to keep all subgroups happy. Unfortunately, that is impossible, so we are solely just doing our due diligence and exploring other options with this letter of interest regarding the T-Dock. We're in great support of Cordova having a strong, thriving economy that grows and flourishes for generations to come. I'm sad that there are community members who are actively opposed so strongly of new and existing businesses who have expressed interest to invest in Cordova. I have concerns that this opposition only moves our town backwards, and we only want what's best for Cordova. So we thank you so much for your time and considerations, and we look forward to future discussions as well. Thank you.
Any other audience comments? Okay, moving on to commissioner comments. We'll go around the room, starting with Commissioner Foodie.
Oh, can't wait to have World Cup and play with it.
Commissioner Trumbull.
I just appreciate the good conversations that were had tonight, and I do look forward to where our recommendations go from just hearing what council has to say. And then I'm excited about Rural Cap and the opportunity for Cordova and the citizens that are looking for affordable housing.
I wanna thank staff for putting all this together. There's an awful lot of stuff here. Really appreciate it. Your GIS, is that ever gonna be available online?
It's getting there.
Been hearing that for 6 years.
It's online, it's not published yet, I still have to finesse some things, so. It's closer than it was 6 years ago.
I can see. Thank you.
Commissioner DeVito.
Thank everyone for their time and, forward to seeing what we discuss in the next meeting.
Commissioner Ray.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate all of the proposals that we saw today. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they took our comments and how they're going to move forward in the future. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation on the Rural Cap. I really look forward to seeing how that moves forward in the future.
Okay, and I would like to thank staff for putting together this packet. These contour maps were very helpful. And also like to thank the public for coming. It's always nice to have public input on these matters. And thanks to commission members. Sorry this went so late. And unless there's anything else, do we have
To adjourn.
Aha.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at 8:17.
Man,